So, we're back for the NASCAR Pit Stop Show. This is the second episode, and this time I'm finally going to take the time and record all of our faces, because for the first episode I did that, but the file was just too gosh darn big. I had to delete it, but I kept the audios and I used the audio instead. But for this week, we're with the face cams, and obviously, as you can see, we got all of our nice, beautiful, cute little faces. And as you can see, as you know, I'm the host, Elijah Leonard. Bottom right corner, Wyatt is completely disagreeing with what I'm saying, and that's him. By the way, on the bottom left, top right of me is Sean Ard, and top left, that's Zachary Taylor.
Hello, boys and girls.
Oh my gosh, man. This is the second week in a row that you have a very cringy intro.
just cringe.
You ever going?
Oh my gosh. So, as a lot of you know, last week we had a lot of topics to kind of go over and discuss, but this week it's going to be a little bit, as far as some topics go, it's going to be a little bit of speed run, just get reactions out of these guys, but there are some topics that I do want to talk about and actually kind of do a roundtable discussion on some of these topics, but you won't know what they are until we actually go ahead and get to them. So, let's go ahead and get down to some of the breaking stories that took place between last week and this week. And also, just one more thing, there are some topics that did come out like a few days before the first episode of the Pit Stop Show. Those topics we are covering for this week, so just remember that some of our episodes may get delayed, and that's fine. But bottom line is, we got some other breaking stories, so let's go over those. We all know about Ryan Sieg's team, and they've been with Chevy for years. Well, coming up to 2021, that's all changing. Chevy is no longer going to be the main manufacturer over at Ryan Sieg Racing. It is going to be Ford. Ford is actually jumping on board for the team, and actually is going to be, those Fords are actually going to be fielded from Stewart-Haas Racing, which honestly, I think that is really going to help the team so much, and I think we're going to see a lot more of Ryan Sieg this year than we've seen in past years. And not to say that Sieg has not done good with his own equipment and with his own Chevys, but with Fords and with the alignment with SHR, this is really going to help him. Wouldn't you guys agree?
Yeah, definitely. And Ford were slowly dying in the Xfinity series because there was barely any Fords to begin with. The only Fords was like Stewart-Haas, Penske, and then Roush Fenway at the time. But since Roush is gone, it was mainly Stewart-Haas and Penske. And for most of the year last year, there was only two Fords, and one of them won the championship. So having that, there's a couple more Fords, and with Ryan Sieg Racing, Ryan Sieg had the best year back in 2020. Yeah, we can arguably say he had the best year he's had in 2020. He ran up a lot. He made it to the next round in the playoffs. He got eighth, unfortunately, but he did pretty good last year. Last year was best round. Ford, I think, is a great switch, and it's great. Hopefully, you get to see more Fords up there, and maybe Ryan Sieg Racing get their first win. Sean,
I gotta agree with what Wyatt's saying there. It's gonna be an improvement from Ryan Sieg Racing to go from Chevy out to a Ford and be partners with SHR. So I'm seeing a lot of good things for the future of Ryan Sieg Racing. Taylor?
Well, I was kind of surprised that they switched from Chevy to Ford, but especially with the year that they had last year. But I do think it will benefit them moving over to Ford and getting their equipment from Stewart-Haas, and I think they could really do some good things out there on the track if they can perform well and have good runs and execute their stuff. They could really do some really good stuff.
May win, possibly. So, another thing that I actually did want to talk about for this one, and this is actually pretty cool, to say the least, is that Miguel Paludo, if you remember, he used to race in the Truck Series way back in the early 2010s for Turner Scott. He's back to drive the 8 car for Junior Motorsports. I can't remember which race that was for. I think the Daytona Road Course? I can't remember. But regardless of the fact, no matter where he's going to be at, he's back. And I think that's cool. Thoughts?
In like truck or something, still like early 15, so I'm out of this one. I don't know what to say.
I don't have much opinion on this one. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool that he's coming back into NASCAR. Get to see him at least drive in the sport again. So can't wait to see what happens. All Taylor.
Oh, well, I do remember him racing in the trucks a few years ago, and yeah, I was pretty surprised that he's coming back and doing a few races. But I mean, most definitely, he's going to have a lot of adjusting to do with all the technology upgrades and everything else that NASCAR's upgraded since he's been in a truck. So, but I think it's going to be interesting to see how he will perform, though.
Well, to clarify, he's going to be driving an Xfinity car for Junior Motorsports. So, I mean, as far as, like, the difference between a truck and an Xfinity car, it is going to be a little bit of a different adjustment compared to racing a truck.
Scenes from, like, the past Xfinity drivers, like Bell, Reddick, Custer, hell, Harrison Burton, they've been drivers at least get a win in Xfinity Series and have not in trucks. I don't remember if he had the win or not, but just like there is some difference. But from what we've seen from the younger drivers, NASCAR that went from a truck to Xfinity, Xfinity is apparently might be a little bit, I'm not saying easier, but it is more like helping getting them at least a win or something. If you get what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's another thing that I did want to discuss, and this is not just one driver making their trying to attempt the Daytona 500. It's now 2, but then it turned into 3. We heard today, as of, January 19th, that Jamie McMurray's coming back to race the 500 in a Chip Ganassi Racing prepared Spire Motorsports car. He'll be driving the 77. And then we have Kaz Grala, out of all people, Kaz Grala is going to be attempting the Daytona 500 for Kaulig Racing. We never really expected that. And then another one that just got confirmed, that was confirmed about a week or so ago, Noah Gragson is going to be racing in the Daytona 500, or attempting the race for Beard Motorsports, which basically was the team that Brendan Gaughan ended off his Cup Series career with, or his NASCAR career with. I can't remember if there's anybody else, but those are the drivers that we all know of right now that are confirmed to try to attempt the Daytona 500. So with that, what are your thoughts on those 3 drivers that I just listed attempting the 500?
62-year-old Derek Coop, I don't know his last name.
Cope. Oh yeah, Derek Cope. That's another one.
Yeah, Derek Cope will also be in there driving for Rick Roar. I can't talk.
Rick Ware.
Whatever
it is. I can't talk. I don't know what number. I think it's 53. I'm not 100% sure, but he's also going to, and David Reagan. If we haven't mentioned him yet.
I think we'd mentioned that last week.
We mentioned him. Okay. Well, I didn't remember that, but those 4 drivers, it's good to see Jamie McMurray back, and I can't wait to see how he does 77. Ross Chastain did good in the 77 last year. Noah Gragson making his first appearance. Hopefully, I can't wait to see how he does in the 500. He may do good. Kaz Grala. The last time we saw him in a Cup car was the Daytona Road Course. We're going to the Oval, but the Road Course, he got 6 for driving for Austin. sixth or seventh, and he was replacing Austin Dillon because he had the vibe. We had the vibe. I want to say quote unquote because after he tested again, he got negative, which I'm still iffy on. Just so when he got positive, Kaz Grella stepped in, and he did awesome. So if he gets in there, he may be a contender. And for Colleague Racing, this Colleague Racing is surprising us more and more with Xfinity and Cup.
Mm-hmm.
Colleague Racing is going to end up becoming one of the top teams here pretty soon, and not just in Xfinity.
Cup
Maybe
as well.
we'll slowly go into Cup.
Yeah.
Maybe. Sean?
I gotta agree with that as well. It's gonna be cool to see that for Colleague Racing, and also for McMurray coming back and Derek Coe, seeing them. It's looking like the field for the 500 is becoming really interesting, and that's going to be really cool to see how it's going to be like when we get to Daytona.
All right.
Taylor?
Yeah, well, I was a little surprised earlier when I saw McMurray was coming back, as I wasn't expecting him to come back at all, even for like a one-off. But I think he's going to do pretty decent in that Spire car with his experience. I think he'll be able to have a pretty decent run if he can stay out of trouble and take care of his stuff. And I think Kaz Gralla is going to do really well in that Colleague car. I mean, just knowing what he did last year at the Charlotte Roval filling in for Austin Dillon, I think Kaz Gralla is really going to probably be a big surprise this year.
I think so too. Because he did win Daytona in the trucks back in 2017, and that was a surprise win. He popped up out of nowhere. So who knows? Maybe he could, should he get in, maybe pull something similar off. I don't know. Maybe it's kind of a slim chance, seeing as how in Cup the competition there is a lot more intense for the 500. Especially if it were a truck race, but for the 500, as I said, it's more intense because it's in the name. It's the Great American Race. You got to go for it. All right. One last thing that I did want to bring up for your reactions is that this came out a few days ago. This news: Thor Sport and Ford will be parting ways ahead of the 2021 season. So Ford has been partnered with Thor Sport for the last 3 years, and they've actually done really good with that manufacturer, especially with Crafton winning the title for 2019, and also proving that this year that the current playoffs format is absolutely garbage and can be broken. But now they're parting ways for this year. And we have no idea what those plans are as of right now. But maybe between the day that we're recording this and the day that it gets released, that this episode drops, we'll probably have our answer, and we'd probably already tell you on the next episode. So, a prediction of mine that I want to make is that Thor Sport could possibly, maybe field Chevys again. What do you guys think? Maybe go back to Toyota?
Because I've never really seen him in a Chevy, not that I remember, but I think I do remember seeing him as a Toyota, and for me, they have enough Chevys in the truck. Okay, when I was saying about weren't they the only, besides the DGR, weren't they the only Fords in the truck series? Because Fords are kind of slimming down on both the Xfinity and the truck series. Chevys, we all know this, Toyota's slowly getting up, but Fords are slowly decreasing.
Yeah.
And they lost, and with this, they lost 4 Fords, so I don't know. It may be going to Toyota, if I had to take a guess. That's what I'm saying. What are you saying about this, Sean?
I kind of see where you're going with that with the Toyota, but I think Thor Sports looking more Chevy in my opinion. Just in my opinion, yeah, I kind of see that both Chevys and Toyotas are starting to go on the rise in Xfinity and Trucks, but I see Thor Sport going to Chevy. Taylor.
Well, I am kind of surprised that Thor Sport is switching manufacturers. I I heard they were going back to Toyota, so what I heard, but whether that's true or not, I don't know. But I know I did see some stuff about them going back to Toyota. So, but if that is the case, it will be interesting either way to see what is going to happen with that, and see. We'll just have to wait and see what happens, I guess.
That's
2 for Chevy. I was just kind of worried that you would pick Chevy there for me. I'm like, damn, if I get Toyota, if I'm the only one got Toyota and it ended up coming up as being Toyota, I'm like, I was right. I mean, all 3 of you.
It's a 50-50 thing. It's 50-50.
I mean, between now and when this episode drops, I mean, we have no idea. These are just predictions. So I mean, Thor Sport has fielded Chevys before, but that was way back when. But then they switched to Toyotas in 2012, and then they switched to Fords in 2018, and now we're at that point where it's just like, where are they going? Are they gonna go back to Toyotas, or are they gonna go back to Chevys? It's kind of 50-50. It's up in the air right now, so we're just gonna have to wait and see what happens.
Once it ends up being a random manufacturer that just pops out of nowhere.
GMC, guys, GMC is coming to NASCAR.
or Ram.
Ram is coming back.
Who knows?
Who knows? Okay. So now I want to get down to some of these discussion topics, because these are actually going to be very, very interesting to get you guys' opinions on. But for those of you who may not have heard, Dylan Lupton. Why am I thinking Dylan Lupton? Dylan Lupton is not even in this. But we got a new driver coming into NASCAR. His name is Devin Rouse. He is an LGBTQ driver, and he's the first openly gay driver to ever earn a spot in NASCAR. We have no idea where he's going. I mean, as far as what team he's going to be racing for, he might be racing for Ray Ambrose. I have no clue. But he is a dirt racer. I think he races dirt modifieds, if I'm correct. So his first 2 starts of his NASCAR Truck Series career would most likely be at the dirt race at Bristol and Knoxville for the trucks. But this actually is very, very big for the LGBTQ community, and it's also bigger for NASCAR as well, because now this opens up the door for other people who have those beliefs and different types of sexualities, like gay, lesbian, bi, you name it, to now can have that opportunity to chase their dream into becoming a NASCAR driver. So seeing Devin Rouse accomplish this feat and may possibly have his first 2 starts at 2 tracks that are dirt tracks, and he could do very well at, do you think this is a good thing for NASCAR? Or do you guys personally think this is going to hurt the sport? What do you think?
A whole bunch of drivers in the community. There's no way that they're all just right there straight. There might be some that are different. There might be some different that hasn't come out yet. But I'd say that that's pretty good. I have a lot of friends who are like this in hell. I have friends in my Votech classes that are in that community, and it wouldn't surprise me if I see them racing. I wouldn't care much bit because that's what they want to do. So I think this is good for NASCAR.
All right.
Sean?
You know what? It's cool that they're gonna start going out into different sort of communities like LGBTQ and all that sort of stuff. Like that's probably could help the sport. Like inviting people with all sorts of kind of things and let the sport become like openly and have more interaction with fans that like those sort of things. So it really is going to be interesting to see how everybody else would feel, but to me, I think this is cool. Just to see this happening. Taylor?
Well, I mean, I think it potentially could open the door for some of that side of things to kind of come into NASCAR. And, I mean, I think could be a good thing. We'll just have to see how everything goes.
I mean, and I think this also is going to be, I mean, this is kind of going to be split because, like, this is actually going to be really cool to see that we're going to have the first openly gay driver a part of the sport. One concern that I do have, though, is, like, some of the reactions from other fans who really don't believe in this kind of stuff, and that will actually give Devin so much heat. But what if he actually does? First of all, what if he does good? Like, would you change your mind? Would you have different opinions about him? Would your opinion still be the same? I mean, mostly I think they're just going to go after him because of his sexuality. Because, first openly gay driver, so that's actually pretty obvious of what they could probably, like, pick at him for. So that's a concern that I have, but the thing is, I don't think anybody should give somebody heat because of their sexuality, especially if they're a race car driver. I think they should actually just, like, if they were to give him heat for, like, a proper reason. Let's say they actually deliberately dump somebody on the track. That you have a reason now. But for the fact that they are an LGBTQ part of the LGBTQ community and they're an openly gay person, that does not mean that you should like tear them apart. Because keep in mind, regardless, we're all the same person. It's like drinking water. Everybody drinks water the same way. So, like, that's what I kind of think, is, like, nobody should be judged for their sexuality. Like, just because you have a different sexuality, it doesn't make you a bad NASCAR driver or an IndyCar driver. Sexuality has nothing to do with it. So I mean, like, that's my concern, is just, like, some of the fans that could give him backlash for his sexuality. But if I were to give advice to Devin, it's most likely just don't let the backlash get to you. Just keep doing what you do best. That's all I can say. All right.
Back that up as well.
Yeah.
Just don't judge a book by its cover. You've seen how the other dirt racers turn up. If he came from dirt background, he's going to do good up in the sport.
Mm-hmm. He's going to do pretty good in the sport. I mean, it's kind of like if you remember Bobby Pierce. He's not a gay driver by any means, but he did make some appearances in NASCAR driving an Eldora, which was, I think that's what he's going to be mostly famous for, is driving a truck at Eldora and almost winning in his debut, might I add. He almost won in his debut race. He even raced a couple of pavement races, I think, for the 63 truck. I think he was for the Mittler brothers at Martinsville. That was the only other paved track that I can think of that he actually did race at. But he's but he actually did come up through the sport. I mean, mainly through trucks, but that's all we've ever seen from Bobby Pierce is racing trucks. So for Devin, I think he actually could do just as good as what Bobby Pierce was able to do, but that's just my opinion. Another thing that I did want to discuss, and I wanted to get you guys' thoughts on this one, is that for the dirt race at Bristol, Bristol Motor Speedway is going to be removing their safer barriers. The reason for this is because, like, obviously with these cars, and they don't go as fast as like what a dirt late model, a dirt modified, or like an outlaw, a sprint car would go on a dirt track. I mean, that's why Eldora never had safer barriers, but yeah, NASCAR went there anyway, because these trucks and cars will not go as fast. They can't, because you know, like I've never seen a cup car go super fast on a dirt track. I've never seen that, especially a truck. Never seen that either. So with that in mind, I mean, I don't know if this is going to be any sort of safety concern, but I think, I mean, this could be a safety concern to some fans. Then again, probably not, seeing as how, like, the difference between speeds at a regular race at Bristol and a dirt race at Bristol would be drastically different. So with that, do you think that this is going to impact the safety for the dirt race at Bristol, or do you not think it's going to impact the safety?
Like you said, I'm not sure if I chose the right one. I'm like talking, but you said it yourself. Eldora don't have safer barriers,
Yeah.
and they still run it. They never had like a huge crash or not like, well, they've had a huge crash, but not like cars full on destroyed after hitting the wall hard or something. If you get what I'm trying to say, not like when it's on pavement and they go fast and stuff. If you're trying to get what I'm saying here,
Yeah.
If you get what I'm saying, they're kind of, Eldora's like they're most likely like probably going to run the wall, bumping the wall like Eldora. But it's like I think it might, if it helps to get like the dirt on the track a little more, I think it's okay. And if it's kind of like Eldora, excuse me, I think we're going to have I think the safer barriers are going to don't have to be worried about, because they're not, unless we see the cars who don't have drivers who don't really have experience on dirt not do all that great, then there might be concern. But I feel like not have to worry about safer barriers just for the dirt race at Daytona, not Daytona, I'm sorry, Bristol, whatever the hell track it is. But yeah, Sean, you talk before I lose my mind.
All right.
Like you haven't already.
Boy. Okay, but I don't see that much of an issue by taking the safer barriers away, and that's my opinion. Because yeah, the speed's gonna be going. They're gonna be doing less speed down the straightaways and corners, so it wouldn't be that much hard. But again, what Wyatt was going to, and also where Elijah was going. We've seen NASCAR go to Eldora with the trucks and didn't see much of a problem, so it shouldn't be that big of a problem at Bristol for the dirt race. So it's not that huge issue.
Mm.
Taylor?
Well, I don't think it'll be too much of an issue not having the safer barriers at the Bristol dirt race. I mean, long as we don't see a big old demolition derby break out, I think we'll be all right. Nobody slammed the wall really hard, so I don't think it'll be too much of a problem, long as none of that happens.
Well,
I'm more worried about like seeing about 40 cars just trying to make the first corner in the dirt. You know, like,
Oh yeah, or that.
It's like Clinton Boyer decides he's gonna like do a one-off race, the dirt race of Bristol. It's just like it probably could be just like the dirt derby, except if you name it the derby, it could be a demolition derby.
Cars who are usually the dirt people who don't really run up front show up and actually do really good.
That actually would be really interesting because we have seen that before because there have been some drivers that we've never heard of before actually do super well. If you go back to the inaugural race, I mean, like, this is going to be the opposite of what I just said. Scott Bloomquist, and who is like one of the best dirt racers of all time, get into a KBM truck, and he did not do well at all. He did not do well because, like, the difference between a dirt late model and a NASCAR truck are really different. You can't go as fast. But there are some other drivers that actually have raced for smaller teams and have actually done super well. Bobby Pierce actually easily fits that category because he's done super well in a Midler Brothers truck. But to Wyatt's point, we might see some drivers that we have not seen, like, ever, like, run up in the top 15 or top 10, possibly if you want to go that far, top 5, like say Spire Motorsports. Let's say Corey LaJoie pops up out of nowhere, or let's say
Four guys, Rick Four Racing. Maybe one of them are good in dirt. Maybe they can show up. And maybe if Ty Dillon, I'm not sure if we talked about this, maybe if Ty Dillon gets another ride with the 56 and they end up doing the dirt race.
Maybe.
I think Ty's pretty good. Ty surprised us with the rain. Maybe he'll surprise us again with the dirt.
Maybe.
We don't know. It's just the drivers will surprise us. I mean, we already know about the dirt guys who go up there and like Larson, Bell, Briscoe, to name a few. Name a few on top of my head.
Yeah.
But there may be drivers in the Cup Series that aren't full on experienced or aren't like haven't raced dirt in a while who are experienced with dirt and may run up there and possibly surprise us.
Yeah. Well, hopefully that's the case. So another thing that I want to discuss is about the team 2311. So, if you have not seen, if for some of you who may not have seen on social media, 2311 has released their DoorDash scheme. Honestly, I think it's a pretty decent DoorDash scheme. Not as good as like what we've seen with RPM last year with Bubba Wallace, but for what it is, it's okay. I'm not gonna say it's spectacular, but it looks basic and it's okay. So with that, I mean, I'm not saying that the paint scheme is gonna make the team do well. My only other concern is, like, we already know who the owners are, Denny Hamlin and Michael Jordan, and now also we've got another co-owner coming in. Pitbull has joined for Trackhouse. He's a co-owner of that team, and honestly, just like that's going to be a little bit of an interesting thing to see because like we don't know how Trackhouse is going to do this year. We have no idea. I mean, which is the topic. We have no idea how 2311 is going to do. So, I mean, because, sure, they are going to have some of their equipment and cars come from Joe Gibbs Racing. But does that mean that they actually are going to do well? It's 50-50. So, with that, seeing as how Bubba Wallace is going to be the driver, the owners, Denny Hamlin, Michael Jordan, and seeing as how, like, we've got an alignment with Joe Gibbs Racing and 2311, is it 50-50 that 2311 is going to do good this year?
It depends. Like you said, we don't know how they're going to do. Like Trackhouse, I think and the other new team that popped up, I don't remember what the name is. But I agree with just saying, like, it is 50-50 because we don't know if the team's going to run the back. We've had some teams that tried hitting and some missed, but some did really good. And they are going with Toyota affiliation for Joe Gibbs Racing, and when the only good thing about that, one of the good things about that is like the last time they did affiliation, a team did affiliation with Joe Gibbs Racing as a Toyota. That was Levine. I just lost the name for a minute, and look how well they did. Not the bad dad, though. Perfect example.
Mhm.
Almost won Bristol. Almost won Bristol. And then you got
Should've.
Christopher. And he should have won Bristol. Hands down, should have won Bristol. But and then you got Christopher Bell in last year. The first year didn't do all that great, first 4 races, but when he got in the rest of the years, he did pretty good. Started getting up there. Best finished 3rd in Texas.
Yeah.
I'd say like it's been some hit and miss with Joe Gibbs affiliation teams, but from the last few years, I think they might do pretty good. So I still think it's 50-50, but I'm leaning more towards the hit.
All right.
Like the hit and miss, I'm leaning more towards the hit. Sean?
I'm kind of seeing where you're going with that, and I'm kind of in that 50-50 line. But I see where you're going towards like that 75% sort of mark. And really, looking back at the history of Joe Gibbs Racing affiliated teams, they have done good. Some have done really well, like a lot. But it's just gonna be weird how this is gonna go.
Sorry to interrupt you, Sean, but I actually forgot a team, Furniture Racing.
Oh yeah, that was a team that did really good. But I think it'll be really interesting to see how 2311 Racing will do in their first season as a team. But only time could tell on that.
Mm-hmm.
Taylor?
Well, I mean, I think it will be interesting to see how they're going to do. I mean, like Wyatt was mentioning, with them having a JGR alliance for some extent, I think it's going to possibly help them having some JGR equipment on their car. And I mean, who knows? They could be really competitive, or they could be just kind of mediocre for their first season. Who knows? We'll just have to wait and see.
And like the thing is with with this affiliation with Toyota and Joe Gibbs Racing, to Wyatt's point, there have been some teams that have definitely been in that hit or miss category, and some teams have hit. Furniture Row, for example, Levine Family Racing is another one. I mean, those are the only 2 that I can think of. But I mean, there are some teams that have also come up, like that I don't think had an affiliation with Joe Gibbs or any other Toyota team. Bill Davis Racing was another Toyota team, like right around 07, 08, and a little bit of 09. But they don't count right now because they've been a team for a long time, long before Toyota came into the sport. But like Red Bull Racing is another one, which then eventually turned into BK Racing. They hit for a little bit, but then they missed. Mainly because, like, honestly, because they had the sponsorship with Red Bull, obviously, because that was in the name Red Bull Racing. They had guys like Brian Vickers in the car. They had AJ Allmendinger in the car. They hit a little bit with Brian. They missed a little bit with Allmendinger. They definitely missed with Scott Speed. They hit something with Casey Kane. So, I mean, there are some teams and drivers that do drive for those teams. I mean, that sometimes are hit and miss. Drivers are hit or miss. Teams are hit or miss. Sometimes affiliations are hit or miss. So maybe with this 2311 Racing, Joe Gibbs Racing affiliation, this could be a hit. Seeing as like who the team owners are, seeing as who the affiliation and who 2311 is affiliated to, this could be a pretty good season for them. But it's still in that 50-50 line, and it's also within the hit or miss category.
One of the federations did get a championship, junior Giroux, so maybe so far. They may be talking about more. It's slowly starting to get the hit, but we still don't know.
Yeah. We've got no clue yet. Okay, so now it is time to get down to the main event. The main topic that is the thumbnail of this episode. So if you have not heard, earlier this month, Hailie Deegan had let out a racial slur, well, not a racial slur, but it was some slang on her iRacing live stream, which she did immediately after the live stream apologize for saying that. It was the R word, by the way, for if you're wondering. And NASCAR had required her to take sensitivity training, and that's all we've heard. She has not gotten any penalties. She was not let go of her contract with David Gilliland Racing. Her sponsors are still going to be with her. Ford is still going to support her. So she did not get any of like the severe low blows. Not like really a low blow, but it's good that she didn't get that kind of like bad basically the same bad consequences that Kyle Larson did. So with that, what are your thoughts on Deegan, on like what Deegan did? Do you think she should have gotten more severe penalties, or do you think what she has right now, what she has to do right now, is good enough? What do you guys think?
First one I understand this. Not as said, so I mean, I get why it's bad, but at the same time, I'm like, what the hell? Just like, I honestly think the whole sensitivity thing for that is just stupid. Just like, what? No. Just, I don't even know what else to say about this, because when I heard about this, I'm like, okay, it was stupid that she said that, but she has to go to sensitivity training for, I mean, just, I don't.
And Wyatt is frozen. Oh, jeez. Okay. But yeah, Wyatt's opinion is the sensitivity training is stupid. And I don't think, and he doesn't think that Hailie Deegan should take it. Well, should do it and stuff like that. But, I mean, that's Wyatt's opinion. What you got, Taylor?
Well, obviously, I mean, she did kind of mess up by saying what she did, so, but I also think she did do the right thing by apologizing right after she did it, so, and, I think it was good that they didn't go too far with finding her at this point, so, I mean, I think that was probably a good move there by not going as far as they did with Kyle Larson kind of penalty on her. So I think that was probably a good move.
All right.
Damn, computer.
Well, there goes Wyatt's computer. As you see, he just switched to his phone.
No, it's the bad thing. I lost my internet connection off my computer for some reason. Just where did I leave off talking on this?
You left off with taking sensitivity training is dumb.
Okay, for her. Okay, the way you say that makes it sound bad, but the way I was saying, like, just for that reason, just like I get why it's bad. I mean, I get why, but just I don't. I'm not a fan of this move. It's a good thing she has all of her rights and stuff, and also going to the number band now. It's going to the 1. That's great that she still has a ride, a number. hell, still with Ford and all that, that's fantastic. I'm glad she don't have to put up with the same thing Larson did. Then I would really be pissed about all this. But yeah, I'm not a fan of this. I'm not. That's all I gotta say. I don't care if I get hated on that. It's my opinion.
It's everybody's opinion on here.
Well, I may be going back to computer for a second if the connection will let me.
Well, all right, Sean, voice your opinion on this, buddy.
Okay, look, I know this whole thing is kind of it's a two-way sort of thing, but like, yes, it's not as bad as the whole Larson thing, and I kind of see that as a good thing. Like, she did, like, okay, she let out something that shouldn't have been said just a little bit, but just, like, come on now. We do not need to get that far to think, oh, it should have been worse, it should have been that. No.
Yeah.
Right now, and she did apologize. That I'll give that up. I'll give her credit. She did apologize. But let's just not go that far. Just think it. No, she should have had more. Right now, it's just a little thing, not like a huge thing. Like she loses everything.
Yeah.
So for right now, what she has is like, okay, it's not the best, but it's not the worst.
Yeah. And like the thing is like there's a difference between what the word that Deegan said and then what Larson said. The word Deegan said obviously is a type of slang, and it shouldn't be either word shouldn't be said in the workplace anyway. But it's not like it's not terrible. I mean, because like I don't think it should be said on like a live stream, and it shouldn't be directed towards anybody. But the thing that Larson said, that was a racial slur, and that had an impact on a lot of people. I mean, especially part of different communities. So, it is a pretty big deal either way. This did get a lot of media attention as well, but as far as what Deegan was able to go through, it's just sensitivity training, which I mean is a lot. I mean, for what it is, it's a lot better than losing your ride and your sponsors and all that stuff and getting banned off iRacing. I mean, it's a lot better than all of that. So I mean, just be thankful that you didn't lose that stuff and lose your ride and everything else. And just do what you need to do and move on, and you can still race. That's really all that I kind of see from this. But that's my personal opinion right there. But all right, I think we have gotten through all the topics that we've got so far for episode 2 of the NASCAR Pit Stop Show. So that's about it. So want to thank you guys a lot for watching episode 2 of the NASCAR Pit Stop Show. If you like this video, be sure to give it a like. If you have not considered subscribe yet, I recommend you do so to keep up with some fine content coming out in the near future. And that about does it for me. On behalf of Wyatt, Sean, and Taylor, I'm Elijah Leonard, and we'll see you on the next one.
Everything's great.
Bye.